Perfect. Good morning, everybody. And good morning, Isabel. I'm really happy to have you on the call this morning. We are going to talk about sleep. I think I was just saying to Isabel, sleep is on everybody's mind these days. I think it's something that most of us struggle. And I think it's the number one concern that moms have too in pregnancy. And when they do our antenatal classes, they're like, oh, I'm not good without sleep. And what am I going to do with that little baby and being up all night and so on? So I'm hoping we're going to get a lot of insights and to also manage expectations. We're not talking about baby sleep today. That's what we have a NITA for. And if you are on the lookout for that, we have a lot of different videos on our YouTube channel as well that you can refer to. But today is all about adult sleep and understanding the mechanics of it and optimizing our sleep, because like Isabel says, better sleep, better life. So can I ask you, Isabel, to share your presentation with us and introduce yourself to our mummies?
Happy to do so. Hello, very welcome today, and thank you for taking the time for such an important topic. And I do agree with Joanna that sleep is really like such an important topic. I believe that it's the foundation of health. It's the pillar, the foundation on which we build everything else. And I also find that often, we get a bit lost in all the sophistication, the sleep trackers, the supplements, the hacks, and we forget the basics. So I really want to cover first the basics, because without those solid foundation, anything that you will add on will just be wobbly. So let me go to my presentation. I'm going to share it with you.
Perfect. And parents on the call, what we've decided is this time we'll answer your questions at the end, because Isabel says in the course of the presentation, most of the time your questions will actually be answered. So please reserve them for later, or if you have to drop off at some point, please put them in the chat and then we'll ask them and you can watch the recording later. Thank you.
Yes.
Over to
Thank you for that, Joanna. So just quickly presenting myself. So my name is Isabel Galiano. I am a certified nutrition and health coach. I'm also certified in functional medicine. I am also certified in yoga therapy, meditation, breathing techniques, and I use all these different modalities in my coaching. I coach actually mainly cancer patients. So I have been a cancer coach for more than 10 years now, and I coach people during and after treatment to better cope with all the physical and emotional challenges that comes with a cancer diagnosis. And honestly, that's really, really what motivated me to get into sleep. So when I see all the struggles that my clients face with sleep, all the struggles that they faced before the diagnosis, which for sure impacted their immune system, but the struggles that they face while they are on treatment, while they are on hormone therapy, while they are recovering from cancer, it urged me to dive into sleep science and to really, have the knowledge to share with my clients. So let me go through with you the main points, because I could talk for hours about this topic. So I'm going to talk about the sleep stages, the root causes of your sleep issues, the circadian rhythm, bedroom, sleep position, exercise, emotional well-being, food, supplements, and sleep trackers. So let's get started with understanding our sleep stages. So I'm not going to go into many great details, but it's really important that we all have that understanding that we do go through different stages of sleep, and that every sleep has its function and it has an important role in our physical and emotional health. And so, for example, when we look at the different sleep stages, if you look at stage 3, it's mainly important for our physical health. So that's where the body repairs, that's where the body heals, and that's also where our immune functions are supported. And then on stage 4, which is the REM sleep, that's more about cognitive and emotional health. So that's where our memory are consolidated, and that's where also we process our emotions. And I will talk a little bit more about this in my next slide. Just for some reason, Sorry. So here. So again, I wanted to use this visual so that it's very clear to you that this is a cycle. So we go from one sleep stage to the other, and it happens at different times of the night. And as I said before, it has different importance. So why is it important to understand that? Well, first of all, if you look at my picture here, you can see that the deep sleep that is here in light blue happens mainly at the beginning of the night. And then the REM sleep happens mainly at the end of the night. So these are important informations because this should motivate you, first of all, to go to sleep early, to make sure that you get this important deep sleep at the beginning of the night, because very often at the end, so after 3 a.m., that phases of stage of deep sleep gets more and more reduced. And I see it very often when I track the sleep of my clients and my own sleep, that sometimes even after 3 a.m., you don't have any deep sleep at all. So I'm going to talk about the importance of going to sleep early more, but I wanted you to see it visually. Same if you don't sleep enough. If you go to bed late and you wake up early, you also might not have enough of this very important sleep, REM sleep, which is crucial for our emotions and our mental well-being. So as I wrote here, I mean, it's difficult to always have an ideal night. I get it, I understand that. But to have a rough estimation, we usually should be sleeping about 8 hours. Of those, between 4 and 5 hours are actually light sleep. But we need to have at least 1 to 2 hours of deep sleep and 1.5 to 2 hours of REM sleep. While this seems little, it is actually quite efficient. And you would be surprised if you track your sleep, how many people do not get to those hours. And even if you do sleep for a long time, often you do not get the quality of sleep that you need. So here's just an example. That was my sleep last night. I'm not always that perfect, but when I do everything that I will teach you today, usually I do get quite a good quality of sleep. And as you see, my REM here was 1 hour, 43 minutes. My deep sleep was even more than 2 hours. So I feel very well today, and I hope it will help you to feel better too in the future. So one question that I get asked all the time is, how many hours of sleep do we actually need? I read so many papers around it, and here is the conclusion, is that actually what I really see as the most important study has been done in 2015, and it has been shown that we all need a minimum of 7 hours of sleep every single night. The World Health Organization says that we should all have between 7 and 9 hours a day, a night of sleep. And also what I find very interesting is that they actually consider you as chronically sleep deprived if you consistently sleep less than 7 hours a night. So just let that sink in, because I'm sure that some of you might regularly sleep less than 7 hours. And it has been proven that if you do that, it does have negative effects on your health and well-being. Even if you function properly, even if you have found all these little strategies, you know, coffee, maybe going out in fresh air, maybe listening to music, whatever strategies you find to keep you going and make you feel awake, it still does have a negative impact on your health. So what are some of the negative impacts that, you know, lack of sleep has? Well, it does definitely has an impact on your brain functions. Also, more and more we link, for example, Alzheimer's disease to lack of good sleep. It definitely has also an influence on your stress and anxiety levels. Lack of sleep is very much correlated with an increased state of anxiety. So if you are in a moment of your life where your stress levels are higher, particularly when your anxiety levels are higher, sleep is like the first strategy that you need to work on. Mood imbalances. We do know that disruptive sleep has an impact on our neurotransmitters, which regulate our mood, but then also physiologically, we know that it is very difficult to lose weight, for example, if you are sleep deprived. If you are sleep deprived, you constantly crave for food, particularly for sugary food. So if you are trying to lose weight, but your sleep is not good, it will be really, really hard. And then it also weakens your immune system. Sleep is one of our superpowers, and it's the superpower to really boost our immune system. Heart health is very important too, and it's supported by good sleep. If you don't sleep well, your blood sugar is impacted. So if you would, for example, analyze your blood on a morning where you had a bad night's sleep or on a morning where you had a good night's sleep, you would see the difference. So reduced sleep, your blood sugar levels in the morning is higher, which also puts you again at higher risk for other chronic diseases, like, for example, diabetes. And then also simply coordination, balance. We do feel that we are a bit more wobbly when we don't sleep well. So all of this just if you needed a bit more motivation to really take sleep seriously. But then what I find really interesting, it's to really find the root causes of your sleep issues. And that's what I love to do also in individual coaching sessions. It's like playing this detective role and going through your day, really analyzing what are some root causes of your sleep issues. Sometimes when I work with clients, it's very obvious, it's like, okay, that's it, that's the cause. Or here are 2 or 3 things that if we get this to change, it will make a deep impact. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes it's a bit more blurred. Sometimes we need to work on different aspects, and there is a part of trial and error. But I truly believe that we all have the ability to improve our sleep, and we should all work on that because, again, it's an absolutely crucial impact on our health. So it might be because you have poor sleep hygiene, which I will go into in deep details. It might be due to nutritional deficiency, hormone imbalances. For all the women who are around my age, welcome to the club. Perimenopause, menopause, hormone imbalances do have an impact on our sleep for sure. Blood sugar imbalances. You might not realize this, but if you consistently wake up at night around 3 a.m., like if you had a nightmare, but you didn't, and it's like physical, it's often related to blood sugar imbalances, meaning that you had a crush in your blood glucose level and that wakes you up. So the diet there is, again, very important to adapt. And then, of course, there are some specific foods that I'm going to talk more about it that might influence your sleep. Your gut health really plays a crucial role in your sleep, not only because it disrupts your sleep when you are digesting, when your digestive system is making noises, when you have acid reflux, but also it has an impact, on your on different hormones that have an impact on your sleep. Pain, of course, if you have any kind of bodily pain, but also emotions. We know that if you are going to negative emotions, it will have an impact on your sleep too. So whatever root cause you have now identified, or you start to put off together, working on your circadian rhythm is the best strategy for everybody. So first, it's important to understand the circadian rhythm. And I think nowadays everybody has read about it, but just to make it very, very simple, it's really that natural internal clock that every living being, us, animals, even plants, even microbes have, and it really regulates their wake and sleep cycle. And to make it very simple, the best or the closest you live according to this circadian rhythm, the better your sleep is. So let's work on how we can improve this circadian rhythm and how you can actively really make a difference. So here are the 6 steps that I would like to talk about to optimize your circadian rhythm. So if you look at this picture that I put here, this is actually very, very nice to understand how we like to optimally produce these 2 hormones that directly impact our sleep, which is melatonin and which is cortisol. So ideally, we want, you see the red curve, we want the melatonin to stop being produced by 6 a.m. And when we sleep and live in sync with this circadian rhythm, that's what our body would naturally do. So around 6 a.m., it will stop the production of melatonin. It will not produce it until 9 p.m. That's where the production of melatonin starts. The most efficient at producing melatonin is around 11. And then again, it will go down when it's about time to wake up. So this tells us very important things. So first of all, as I said before, it's really important not to miss that window where the melatonin is at its spike. So that's why I always say that we should all aim to go to bed by 10 p.m. So ideally, even be in bed earlier so that at 10 p.m. you actually are asleep. Because when you are asleep at 10 p.m., you get that melatonin spike while you are asleep around 11. It keeps producing melatonin until 3 a.m. and it should keep you sleeping, or actually make it easier for you to stay asleep all night long. Now, if you miss that window, then the production of melatonin is not that efficient and it will have an impact on your sleep. So it's important to understand that when I say that roughly we need 8 hours of sleep, it also really depends on when you get that sleep. So sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. has a completely different impact than, for example, sleep from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. 8 hours, different quality of sleep. So in the same way, so to kind of get the melatonin to be regulated properly, it's important to understand how it interacts with cortisol. So as you see, ideally, the highest peak of cortisol should be in the morning. So around 6 a.m., we should be producing cortisol, and then the peak is around 9 a.m. And then it gently, consistently goes down, reaching really almost no cortisol at all at 9 p.m. So that's how we can have an impact so that it's as efficient as possible. Now, how can we help our body to regulate these hormones? Well, the first thing I would like you to do is to have a daily exposure to outside light. And actually, ideally, first thing in the morning, particularly for those of you who have issues falling asleep at night, who just come back from travels, who are suffering from jet lag. This is the first thing that I would really put into place. Because even if you are very tired, if you get up and you get that natural morning light, it immediately gives the right signals to the brain. It tells the brain, here, hello, there is light coming. It's the morning light, the bluish light from the morning that is very different from the light at night. And it tells my brain, okay, you need to wake up now. So stop producing melatonin and at the same time start producing cortisol. So if you get that information right first thing in the morning, it already prepares you for a better sleep at night. So as I say, in the best case scenario, get outside, go for a walk, even if it's only 15 minutes. If that's not something that you can implement every single day, at least make sure that you always open up all your curtains, you let the light come in. If you can have breakfast outdoors or at least next to a window, that would really make a difference. And you know, it seems so simple, but I promise you, I had many clients which really had a deep improvement in their sleep simply by implementing that. And that's also, as I said, the first thing I would do if I would come back from my holiday trip, getting out in the morning outside to get the clock being as soon as possible again into the right rhythm. Then the light, you know, it's an important topic to understand because in the morning we need the blue light, but at night we need to be away from the night. So ideally you should turn down your lights 90 minutes before bedtime, meaning by that 90 minutes before your bedtime, you should not be exposed to bright lights. So I like, for example, to put my lights on dimmer mode or to just switch off some of the lights. This is also a very efficient technique with kids. If you start switching off the lights around the house, the kid's brain will also kind of immediately get that signal. Oh, hello, it's getting darker. It's time to slowly start producing melatonin. On the contrary, if you are, in front of deep lights, particularly the blue lights, the bright lights, that will definitely, without a doubt, have a negative impact on your sleep. So it's the bright lights. When you go in the cities now, everything, we are actually a dark deprived society because there's lights everywhere. So let's try to bring at least darkness in our homes. And the most important habits would be definitely to be very mindful in using tablets, phones, and so on. I know it's very, very challenging with our kids, our teenage kids, but it's the single most important things you can do to get into that right circadian rhythm. Because remember, if you look at the screen, the light it emits is blue. So that will trick your brain in thinking, hey, it's still day, it's still morning light. I am not supposed to start producing melatonin right now. On the contrary, if I feel tired, I need to double up with the production of cortisol to keep me awake. So what happens? You have now these two challenges. You haven't produced melatonin, and on top you have produced more cortisol. So when then you go in your bed, you are lying there and you have that phenomenon that is called tired but wired. So you do feel tired, but why can I not sleep? I don't get it. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. Why can't I fall asleep? Exactly because of that, because your body doesn't have enough melatonin and there is too much cortisol that needs to be processed. So keep that in mind. And then another thing to kind of get that darkness is to make sure your room is really very, very dark. And by very dark, I'm very specific, like put your hand in front of you. You should not be able to see it. So there are many things you can do. I know it's not very sexy, but I do sleep literally with like a black t-shirt over my eyes because I tried all the sleep kind of covering eyes. It kind of disturbs me at night, and I just put like a black t-shirt and it has worked wonders. My husband has been making fun of me for years. Well, here he goes and he's doing the same now. So look at also the little things, for example, if you are not using something to cover your eyes, is there any lights coming from your aircon, any lights coming from any devices? These little bright lights actually do have a deep impact because your brain can still, has a radar for it at night. So make sure you kind of stick it with black tape, or you make sure these are all out of your room. The other important thing is to stick as much as possible to a consistent sleep schedule. So as much as you can, please, as a family, take a decision, what is our bedtime, and we all will support each other to stick to it. Ideally, same time to go to sleep, same time to wake up. Now, the bedroom plays an important role in our sleep quality too. So tonight you might go around and see, if all these are ticked. So no clutter, making sure there is not too much noise. I like to use earplugs at night. The room temperature should be a bit cooler than the rest of the house because we need the temperature of the body to go a little bit down to induce that restful sleep. Good air quality, make sure you open all your windows every day, and or you have an air purifier in your room. All the electronic devices should ideally be out of the room, including your phone. That's why I choose an alarm clock wisely. So I always like to go back to the traditional little alarm clocks with a battery. So you get not distracted by this phone next to you. You don't have the tendency to look at your phone when you wake up, because let's face it, it's just really easy to just have that look. And I read a study which I found really interesting, that even one look when you wake up at night, on a device, which the blue light can really have a deep impact on your sleep, because when you fall back asleep, your sleep quality will not be that good. Look at your mattresses, your pillows, it should be supportive. Here in Singapore, we should really change our mattresses and pillows on a regular basis. Pillows every 2 years, mattresses every 5-7 years. And then ideally there should be nothing in your bedroom that reminds you of work, because the bedroom should really be a space where you disconnect. As soon as there is something that reminds you of work, or something kind of keeps your mind going, it can be negative. But if you have a pet in a room and it disturbs you at night, it's also something that you should address. Now, briefly, I wanted to talk about sleep positions. There's a lot said about what is the best sleep position, and it's also very individual. However, in general, it is known that side sleeping is the best position, particularly if you have any digestive issues, heartburn. You might want to try to sleep on your left, because that also makes a positive impact. If you do sleep on your back, consider having pillows below your knees to kind of make sure there is not too much pressure on your back. And then stomach sleeping is generally considered the worst position, because it puts too much pressure on the spine, muscles, and organs. Something that is also to consider. So here I'm just putting this image because I believe that pillows can really make a big difference in how you sleep. So have a look here on these images. You should have your neck straight, not curved. And I love to use pillows. I have a pillows in between my legs, so I sleep on the side, but I have pillows in between my knees, which really helps to kind of take the pressure off the hips. Especially if you tend to have some lower back problems. I even love to put a pillow in between my arms. So for those of you who have been pregnant not that long ago, I'm sure you use pillows throughout your pregnancy, but use it also afterwards, because it really helps the body to be more relaxed and to remove the tension on different parts of your body. Now, exercise. Exercise is also one of the most studied interaction, I would say, with sleep that has been shown to be really, really favorable to good sleep. So whatever you are doing now, and I'm sure you all have very good resolutions, please remind yourself that being physically active has definitely been correlated with better quality of sleep. However, we also need to understand the relationship between exercise and sleep, because timing of sleep really matters. So while generally it is known that if we exercise more, we sleep better, as a general rule, you should stop your intensive exercises at least 1 to 2 hours before going to sleep. Otherwise, the body is, too pumped up and it will not allow you to sleep well. So we do know that cardio aerobic exercises has a positive impact on sleep, and ideally you should do some of it every single day. I understand this seems like impossible, but you do not need to have it every day for an hour. Remember, when we talk about exercise, it's never all or nothing. I see that too often with my clients. They say, oh, I don't have an hour, so I just don't do it. You have to switch off that thinking. You have to think about every step counts. If I can only walk 10 minutes, I take it, because it will have a positive effect. So for example, you might go for your morning walk 10-15 minutes. For lunch, after having your lunch, if you are at home, make it a habit to just walk for 10-15 minutes. At night, maybe after your dinner or whenever. So it accumulates, and that's what you need to keep in mind. Strength training is absolutely also proven to improve the quality of your sleep. It tends to make you fall asleep easier and faster and wake you up less. And here, again, I could give you a whole lecture on exercise, particularly for those who are going through hormone imbalances. If you are getting into menopause, perimenopause, strength training is crucial, absolutely crucial. You need to put that in, because we are going to start losing muscles, and we need those muscles for so many things, including sleep. Now, yoga has also been studied, and there has been a study that has been clearly following patients who are doing yoga on a regular basis, and even after only 8 weeks, they could notice an improve in their levels, which has a lot to do also with the kind of mindfulness that you put in when you do yoga practice. Now, emotional well-being and sleep. Of course, our emotions play a role in our ability to sleep, in our ability to fall asleep, but also in our ability to stay asleep. So strong emotions, negative and positive, can prevent you from sleep. Even if you are super excited, yeah, I'm going on holiday tomorrow, yeah, super happy, this excitement can keep you awake. So just a few strategies to consider. Be very selective on what is happening before you go to sleep. So for me, those who don't know me, I have had breast cancer when I was 32 years old, and I had a breast cancer recurrence at the age of 34. And that's what really led me to work on my own health and to really study what can I personally do to improve my recovery from cancer, but mainly also to stay healthy. And one of the biggest problems I had is that I was sleep deprived for years and years, for many reasons. And now I'm very protective around my sleep. So being protective around my sleep has a lot to do with what I'm going to do just before going to sleep. So I'm selective. What kind of movie am I going to watch? If it's something that is going to make me scared, to make me too excited, I try not to do. What am I going to read? Is it something that is sad, that will trigger negative emotion? I rather read that in the morning or whenever, but not before going to sleep. Even if I have a conversation with my husband, he loves, for example, to talk about budget just before going to sleep. So I really always say, okay, remember, nothing that kind of makes you think, that triggers any discussion. Keep those important conversations for another moment that is not before bedtime, because your brain will still be thinking about that. Your brain will still be trying to resolve any issue that you gave to it just before going to sleep. So the thoughts that are going through your brain, through your mind before you sleep, will have a deep impact on the quality of your sleep. That's why it is known that if we have grateful thoughts, if we write down things we are grateful for, it induces better sleep, and it really helps us to have a better quality sleep. So if you look at what are your root causes of having sleep issues, if you find that when you are all ready, you lie down in your bed, yes, I'm ready to sleep, your brain is just going and going and going, and you just can't find the switch off button, a very good technique is to write down things that you're grateful for. I didn't invent that. I'm sure you have read it, but are you actually doing it? So it has been shown that thinking about positive things, little things that you are grateful for example, oh, I managed to get out before it started to rain. Wow, I managed today to have that talk that I wanted to have for so long. So these little things throughout your day that you kind of refresh your brain with positive thoughts has a deep impact. However, it has been shown that writing it down makes it so much more impactful because it has a different connection to the brain. It kind of really puts it in there. So this is a technique that you might want to consider, if you have issues falling asleep at night. Now, sometimes it's really not easy to kind of control our brain. And that's where we should use our body to use relaxation. Because remember, when you relax your body, it also has a relaxing effect on your brain. So sometimes when you feel too wired and you don't manage to kind of calm down, you don't manage to meditate or to just, remove all those thoughts, don't push it. Say, okay, my brain is not working as I wish right now. I'm going to use my body because my body can also induce this relaxation. Then you can do breathing techniques, for example, do some stretching, do some self-massage, even yawning on purpose induces sleep. Humming, for example, it's known to activate the vagus nerve, which also induces relaxation. And then simple things like putting your legs up the wall has been proven to kind of have that relaxation effect on you. And then there are also a lot of muscle relaxation techniques that you can find online. It's like meditation that you can do, a guided meditation that helps you to relax every muscle of your body, you know, and that also can help you. So look at this list and think about what are some of these strategies that I want to have in my tool bag, in my toolbox, because there will be for sure some nights where you just are too wired and you will need to use some of those techniques. So you don't need to use them all, but have some ready, that instead of getting upset that you can't fall asleep, instead of telling yourself, oh my God, it's time to sleep, I haven't slept yet, immediately use one of those tools. Now, food and sleep, this is also a very big topic. I could give a whole lecture on it, but just to go to the basics. So it's not only about the food you eat, it's really about how you eat and the timing of your meals that are truly important. So being consistent with your meal times helps also regulate the circadian rhythm. So try to be as consistent as possible. Early dinner has been shown to have a positive impact. So try to finish your dinner 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Sometimes you need to reorganize your schedule a little bit, but it truly, truly makes a difference if you are not going asleep with your stomach and your whole digestive system being working. Now, I often get that question, how about snack after dinner? So of course, individually, it's much easier to answer to that question, but just to give you a hint, generally, you should not be eating anything after dinner to really kind of try to be fasted when you go to sleep and have at this 12-hour window, if possible, without food. However, if you consistently wake up around 3 a.m. at night, as I explained before, it might be due to your blood sugar level. Then I would suggest to have a little fist of walnuts before going to sleep. That will help you regulate your blood sugar levels, and you see if it does have an impact. If by having that little fist of walnuts, you don't wake up at night, it might be because of your blood sugar levels, and then you should start working on your diet to help you have more of a balance in your blood sugar levels. Hydration is key. So if we are dehydrated, it impacts our sleep negatively. However, I would always remind you to not have too much liquid after dinner, because you will wake up to go to the loo. So some foods that we know can promote sleep is magnesium-rich foods, and then tryptophan-rich food. These are amino acids that are precursor to serotonin and melatonin, and they can help improve your sleep. But honestly, around food, I believe more in the habits around food. So getting the timing right, than what exactly you eat. What you should, however, try to really pay attention to are the followings. So caffeine. Caffeine, it has been a topic that has been debated forever. Is caffeine good? Is caffeine bad for you? How much is too much? So many studies show that caffeine is good for your heart. And then other studies say, oh no, caffeine puts your circadian rhythm completely on a strain and you should avoid it. So just this morning, I read a study that just came out, which actually it's a huge study that has been done. And it shows that caffeine is actually good for your health. It's protective to your heart, but only if it's taken in the morning. That's the big difference, that the information that was missing so far. So why were these studies not kind of consistent? So it has been shown that if you have coffee in the morning, it does have a positive impact. However, if you have it in the afternoon, the later in the day, the worse it is, it will have a negative impact on your sleep, particularly on your sleep quality, and then it becomes negative. And then it will also create too much cortisol. We know that a body that is chronically kind of overflowed by cortisol is also not good. So I think this is really important. Another important thing about caffeine, remember that caffeine stays in your bloodstream up to 10 hours. So 6 hours, so imagine you have your cup of coffee at 4 p.m., you go to sleep at 10 p.m., 6 hours after that, 50% of the caffeine is still in your bloodstream. So you're trying to sleep while you have 50% of that caffeine in your blood. Just think about that. I am very sensitive to coffee. I can't have a coffee after 11 a.m. I immediately sense it. There is also a gene that we all have. Either you have the gene that is good in absorbing coffee or not, but no matter how, try to really limit coffee in the afternoon and before nighttime. Alcohol consumption. This is a topic that doesn't make me very popular, but I am really almost on a mission to talk about this because alcohol has so many fun, cool connotations. But unfortunately, you know, I'm in the cancer world. There is every day another study that comes out on how alcohol increases your risk of cancer, particularly on hormone-sensitive cancer. So sorry to be the party pooper, but I just need to get that message out that there is no level of alcohol that is safe. That's the reality. And it does have a very deep impact on your sleep. Now, where we all kind of sometimes go wrong is that we feel, oh, but when I have a glass of wine, I'm so relaxed. And then I go to sleep and it's easier for me to sleep. You know what? You are right. It does induces your sleep. However, it interrupts your sleep. So all in all, it has a deeply negative impact because although you fall asleep maybe easier, you won't get into deep sleep and you will wake up more often. So alcohol is not a good solution for sleep. Spicy food we know is healthy, but avoid it if you are sensitive, particularly at night. Limit sugar intake, again, particularly in the evening, because we all know the sugar high of the kids, it also have an impact on us. And then also these heavy meals in the evening, not always easy to avoid, but if you do have a heavy meal, try to at least get a bit of movement, even if it's only to kind of clean your kitchen, to get things organized. Avoid going to bed with a really full belly. Now, supplements and sleep. I'm always very careful when I talk about supplements. I really like to do it very individualized. And I always suggest that you really work with a health professional that knows about supplements. But here are kind of the main information to know. There is much more to say about it. But melatonin, of course, is known to regulate and to help with the circadian rhythm. I find it particularly useful for jet lag. So that would be one of my strategy to use for jet lag. So either if I arrive at a place where the time zone is different, or when I come back, to be honest, I don't even try. I just take the melatonin because I know that it sets kind of my rhythm and it will help me. Now, with melatonin, what we often get wrong, I see that with all my clients, is the timing again of the melatonin. You should actually take it at least 1 hour before going to sleep, ideally even 2 hours before going to sleep. So those who are already in the bed and they pop the melatonin pill and then switch off the light, it's not working. So it's not the melatonin, it's the timing. Magnesium definitely helps relax muscles and reduce stress. So that's another one to keep in mind in food, in kind of massage it, you know, in oil form, in cream form, and also as a supplement. Valerian root, chamomile, L-theanine, these are all known supplements that can help you. But again, make sure that you talk with somebody that knows about supplements. Whatever you decide to take, it needs to be the highest possible quality. So that's not a place where you want to save money. You need to make sure you have the best possible quality. Otherwise, it won't help and it can even have a negative impact on you. So some supplements that interfere with sleep are usually all the B vitamins, the D vitamins, and the C vitamins. Now, do I want to say that you should not take those? Not at all. Again, timing is crucial. So these vitamins you should take in the morning. So B vitamins usually kind of give you a kick of energy. Take them in the morning. Vitamin D, remember vitamin D is, you get vitamin D from the sun. When do you get sun? In the morning, during the day, not at night when it's dark. So it doesn't make sense to take vitamin D at night before going to sleep. Vitamin C, the same. So make sure you take them at the right timing. And again, always consult a healthcare professional in guiding you with your supplements. Now, just very quickly, I'm not an expert in sleep trackers. I do believe it can truly help you. I personally use the Oura Ring. I love it. It has given me a lot of information. I think that if you understand what is your issue, does it take you long to fall asleep? Where is your deep sleep? Where is your REM sleep? Then you can be much more effective at implementing techniques. However, I also have seen clients who get completely obsessed with it. So they get so nervous about this tracking their sleep that it might even have a negative impact. So something to consider. I think you get a lot of information out of it. I just want to end with this note that I don't want you to underestimate. It's the mindset and your your mindset around sleep. I do believe that that's really, really crucial. So think about yourself, how do you talk about sleep? What do you tell yourself about your sleep? What do you associate sleep with? Something positive, something negative? This is something you need to consciously work on. When I get people here into my office and they start telling me, oh, I never slept well, I will never be a good sleeper, oh, everybody in my family sleeps well, I really don't like to sleep, sleep is a waste of time, when I go in my bed, I already feel nervous. I already know, they need to change their mindset. You need to start thinking about sleep, about something positive, something nurturing, something that is your friend, that plays in your favor, and remove all these negative connotations. Don't talk negatively about sleep, particularly if you have kids around you, because that will really also make a difference in the way that they see sleep, their relationship towards sleep. So the way you frame it, the way you talk about it has an impact. And also, I always tell my clients that very often you don't sleep because you expect that you will not sleep, because your brain is already wired to expect that you won't sleep. So tell yourself, I have some challenges now, but I have the ability to fall asleep. I can learn how to sleep better. I can take steps to improve my sleep. That's how you should talk, and don't underestimate that part. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you, and don't hesitate to contact me on my email, follow me on my on my Instagram, and I'm very happy to hear any questions or thoughts on everything I just talked.
Amazing. Thank you, Isabel. There's definitely a lot of information in here and lots of new things I learned as well. Would you mind stopping the sharing now? And I have some questions in the chat that I would like to ask you. So the first one is, as parents, we often get broken sleep during the night to tend to our children. Does broken sleep, let's say 2 to 3 hour chunks during the day and 1 hour nap, count as restorative sleep? If not, what can we do to make the most in terms of sleep? Because we have a lot of moms who are still feeding their babies. They need to be fed every 2 to 3 hours. So that can be really, really troublesome for them, And so the question is, if they add up those chunks of sleep, is that still good enough, or what are better strategies?
Okay, so of course it's not ideal. I mean, we all went through this, and it is just a period in our life where our sleep is not ideal. And unfortunately, it will be very difficult to make it ideal. However, you can still work on many aspects. So first of all, if you are already sleep deprived, make sure that everything else in your life is kind of better supported. Make sure that you do a bit more exercise, make sure that you take better care of yourself in terms of food that you're having, in terms of stress levels, to kind of compensate that. That's one thing. However, every sleep interruption, you have to understand that you start the cycle again. So when you wake up, you go back to sleep, you go into the different cycles again. Not always you get the REM sleep and the deep sleep. So I would really work on the sleep hygiene. So making sure that everything that you can control, that you are very protective. So what I explained about the lights before going to sleep, about the food that you eat, about what you, so that any sleep that you get the best possible quality. Because sometimes I see clients who sleep 9 hours, but the quality of their sleep is very poor. They're exhausted the next day. So work on getting the best possible quality sleep every time you sleep. Then yes, napping is very helpful. So I would suggest that you do naps. Ideally, you should nap every day at the same hour, if it's possible. And then you can add that to the restorative sleep. It's not perfect, but it's definitely helpful.
Amazing. Thank you. And I'll add on to that because I'm always taught, and I'm not sure if you know the answer, but we are taught that when a mom co-sleeps, this can be beneficial because her sleep cycle is, an adult sleep cycle is different from a baby's. And by co-sleeping, the mom's sleep cycle will adapt to the baby's. So she's not pulled out of her deepest sleep when the baby wakes up. Do you have any insight on that as well?
I don't. I haven't read too much information about that. But yes, it is true that, you know, the circadian rhythm kind of, you know, we pass it to the kids pass it to us. So there's this symbiosis during the night where we kind of, our circadian rhythm gets more in synchronicity. So it does make sense. However, I think it's a very, very personal question, you know, how much is co-sleeping affecting you and how much does it bring something positive? I think it's a very personal question to kind of look into.
Okay, great. So now we're going back to the gratefulness exercise before you go to bed. This mom is asking whether typing instead of handwriting it has the same benefit to the brain.
It doesn't. It doesn't. So actually what has been shown is the neurological impact that really the writing has. And that's why, you know, if you look at now, many schools are going back to getting the kids to write more because we know that we are losing benefits. So it is something that, again, it will be helpful if you say that loud, if you think it, if you type it, but there's nothing as beneficial as handwriting.
Okay, perfect. Another mom says, thanks for the great talk. She's wondering about the impact of interrupted sleep. Although I get 7 to 9 hours a night, I have been waking up at least 1 to 2 times because of the baby in the past 15 months.
Yes, so definitely it will have an impact. But actually, the interruption is not the worst because we all wake up somehow during the night, even if we don't realize it. What makes the biggest impact is when you go back to sleep, how long it takes you to actually fall asleep. When you have the interruption, you feed your baby, and then, okay, now I'm ready to fall asleep. How long does that take? And what can you do in that window to make you fall asleep faster? That would be the strategy I would work on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then another question. My mother and grandmother both habitually woke up at 3 a.m. and often were awake for the whole day at 4 a.m. Are there hereditary factors in sleep? My grandmother lived an agricultural lifestyle, so the early wake up makes sense, but I'm not sure why my mother suffers from it.
So I think there's so many things that is hereditary, but then it has a lot to do with the lifestyle. Maybe you're adopting lifestyle habits that are similar to your mother and grandmother. Maybe what you eat at night is similar and has an impact on your sleep. Maybe, you know, the thoughts that go through your brain before going to sleep. But again, waking up consistently at that time, I would look into my blood glucose levels. I do wear on a regular basis a blood glucose monitor level to check my glucose levels. And I definitely was one of those. At night, I had like a huge, my glucose would go down and I would wake up. So by learning how to eat in a way to keep your blood sugar levels stable, it can really impact that waking up at 3, 4 a.m. and not going back to sleep. Not always that's the reason, but it's definitely something to consider.
Thank
you. Can I just follow on and ask what glucose monitor you might recommend? Because for laypersons, it's very hard.
Yes, so there is actually the one that is has the best kind of results is the it's coming back. Wait. What's the name? I just forgot the name. It will come back. I will share it with you. It's not cheap. It's $108 in a Guardian, and it's for 2 weeks. You stick it on your arm, and with your phone you can track your blood sugar levels. It will pop back in my mind, and I will share it to you.
Amazing. Yeah, I've heard that these are really helpful. We've obviously, moms in pregnancy, some of them suffer from gestational diabetes, and it's good to keep an eye on that as well. Not just to keep an eye on the glucose, but also to see how does exercise and which kind of exercise affects my blood sugar positively and so on. So I've had a lot of clients who've had light bulb moments by wearing that. So definitely something I recommend.
Free Libre is the name. Free Libre.
Really?
Libre is the name that you get in any, and then otherwise you can also contact me. I also have glucose monitors in my consultation room, so I can give you some more information about that.
Amazing. All right. Also in the same boat with broken sleep with baby and working, so can't make up the sleep. Difficult to nap while you're at the office, right?
Yes.
What about using the phone, apps like the Calm app for meditation and relaxation and so on? Do you recommend any of those?
Yes. So I think that, when you have that situation, you need to find ways in your day to at least get some relaxation. So this can be, walking 10 minutes out of your office, walking somewhere, or just closing your eyes and putting one of those apps, doing something, talking to a friend, something that kind of gives you that energy back, because otherwise it's just challenging, right? So yes, I do love those apps. However, I always try to download anything that I would be listening to in the evening to make sure that I don't have my phone on, that it's on sleep mode, that I don't get distracted by any notification, or there is not this, temptation of just quickly look if I received a message. So it's beneficial. Make sure it's on sleep mode. Make sure also you select whatever you want to listen to before you go to bed. Because a mistake I see is that you take your phone and then, what am I going to listen to today? And then you spend a half an hour looking at all these different options. And there again, you are wired because you looked at your phone, the thinking process, and then you say, this is not helping. These apps are not helping. It makes me even more nervous. It's not the app, it's the fact that you spend the time on it. So during the day, test a few of this meditation, of this music or whatever it is, select them so that at night you only need to press on. Yeah. And that's it.
Okay. And you don't end up on TikTok constantly.
Exactly.
Okay. What about a night light for kids? Mostly so she can head to the toilet overnight if she needs to wee. We've been leaving the bathroom light on and the door ajar, like it's an ensuite bathroom. Is that detrimental to their sleep quality?
Okay, so here it's all about what light it is. So we know that blue light is definitely detrimental because the blue light, again, signals to the brain, it's daylight, wake up. So if you do have a light, make sure it's more like an amber reddish colored light, and you can find them anywhere now. So avoid the blue lights. Even sometimes they have these toys that has a light, but it should not be blue. It should be yellowish, amber reddish light. And then if it's in the bathroom, make sure it's dim, so it's not like the super bright light. That would be my best option for that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Also, speaking of lights, I lived in the UK for a very long time. And, there you definitely get the seasonal depressive disorder in the in the winter. And there was this device called the Lumi clock. Would you recommend something like that, which is basically an alarm clock that doesn't use a sound, but it uses light that gradually increases over the hours? And so you are basically woken to the bright light that is supposed to rouse you.
It makes definitely sense. I mean, it is what the circadian rhythm would want us to do, to be naturally woken up by gradual light. So also, when you kind of get woken up by a very bright light from darkness to bright, you kind of get immediately in a bad mood. It's very irritating. So that gradual thing, yes, it's something to definitely worth trying.
Okay. At which sleep stage do we dream? Why do I still feel very tired when I wake up from a long sleep, but with dreams?
Okay, so it depends. So it's the rapid eye movement. That's where you usually dream. And yes, it's true that when you are woken up in the middle of a dream, you kind of didn't finish the cycle, and you feel drowsy the whole day. So unfortunately, it's impossible to make sure to avoid this every single time. Sometimes it will happen. But again, by the more you have consistency in the time you go to bed and the time you wake up, the more this should be regulated. Of course, if you have also some kind of emotions the day before, a movie that you watch that kind of stays with you, it can make it worse. But yes, again, there I would say regularity in sleep habits, timing is the key.
Okay. Our baby sleeps in his own room because he grunts a lot, and we monitor him using an app on our phone to help with waking up to feed him. Based on your feedback on blue light interrupting subsequent sleep, do you have any other recommendations?
So what is it that you are using? Excuse me?
It's a monitor, but it shows on the phone. So basically,
Okay.
during the night to see if the baby is awake or needs feeding or any other attention.
Honestly, I do not know an alternative. And I hope that this is going to be like a fixed period of time in your life. Sometimes we also just need to accept that for some months, our sleep will not be good. This can be, when you have a period of 3 months of having late night calls at work. It can be what you are going through, or your baby being sick. I think that sometimes, even though we try to do everything we can, we also need to accept, okay, I need to take extra care of myself during this period because I know that I'm debilitated already because of my lack of sleep, and try to get it back to normal as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I do not know another app.
Yeah. Would you say that maybe going back to basics, like you said, the old traditional alarm clock with the rather than having your phone wake you up? And in this case, would a monitor like in the old days that has one device in the baby's room, the other one in the mom's room, and all you hear is the noise, rather than having the screen, would be a better option?
I think that's what we all did. All of us who had our kids early, and it worked well. Now, I don't know if your baby has some specific needs that is important to use that specific app. But generally, yes, I agree with what you say, that the noise would wake you up more than looking at the screen, the light, etc. So the more elements you add that disturb your sleep, the more negative impact it has.
Okay.
And then an alarm clock, I'm such a big fan of the traditional alarm clocks. I never, ever put my phone in my bedroom. And it's kind of a big rule in our house. There is no phone in the bedroom. We all have an alarm clock with the batteries, and it truly makes a difference.
Yeah, I wish I could do that, but being a doula, I constantly
Yes. Again,
option, unfortunately.
unfortunately, circumstances in life cannot always lead us to have a perfect, but I think it's important to still know the strategies to do the best out of every single situation.
Absolutely. Okay, one last question. When is the best time to do our workout to have a good sleep? Because you were saying not too close to bedtime, but what is the ideal time?
So if you look at the circadian clock, there is a time, like it says in the afternoon, where we have actually the most energy. But I find it very difficult, to be honest, to stick to that. For me, as a coach, and I see that exercise is often one of the biggest challenges for people to implement and to be consistent. I would really say that you need to find your time where you will be consistent, because that's the thing that works with exercise: consistency. So if you are going to be consistent in do it first thing in the morning, which is usually what works the best, get it in there. If you are going to be consistent in doing it every time at lunchtime, do it there, because at the end, what is more important than the timing is the consistency. That's the first thing to do, consistency. What I would say is avoid definitely cardio or really intense exercise at least 3 hours before bedtime.
Okay, brilliant. It's been a wonderful morning. Thank you so much, Isabel. I think we all learned a lot. It is so fascinating to see how much sleep impacts our health as well. I think we're all aware that we are sleep deprived and so on and so on. But I think the wide-reaching effects better sleep has on our lives was really very educational and very good to hear. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you for all the parents who could join us this morning. Loved having you on the call, and I hope we answered all your questions. We'll be posting the link for YouTube later.
And please share my email address. If anybody has a question, don't hesitate to answer. I will answer. You can WhatsApp me or you can email me. I would be happy to get back to you.
Put them under the video, and then everybody who's watching this at a later stage has a chance to get in touch with you as well.
Wonderful.
So much, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, bye-bye.